What's up, YouTube? Tucker with Next Level Freight. Back to give you guys another update on my trucking journey, my trucking experience as an owner operator out here in California. So today's video, man, I want to talk about my top 5 biggest mistakes that I've made as an owner operator in this industry. I've made a lot more mistakes than 5, but this is just kind of the 5 that I think are the most significant and that may help you or anyone who you know that may be planning on becoming an owner operator here in the future. I've gotten a ton of help. Man, I don't think I would have. Matter of fact, I know I would not still be in this industry if I didn't lean on a ton of people to give me advice. I mean, I've connected with a ton of owner operators out here that I see on the road that have been instrumental. I mean, Clarence, Eric, those guys are great. Always giving me advice. DC, man, I've called that guy with virtually every breakdown that you could have, and he's talked me through it. Victor, when I got started, he was huge, and just a great example of how to grow your business, how to scale your business. But what you learn when you start a business is that no one is gonna hold your hand through this, man. Everyone has lives, everyone has kids, everyone has a spouse, everyone has their own business. So a lot of this stuff you're gonna need to learn on the fly. So if I can give you guys some advice that may help you guys save some money or some time in the future, I'm definitely gonna do that, man. So what we'll do is we'll switch over here. We'll do a quick glance at some of the loads that I booked because it was a pretty good week of loads. Then we'll talk about the gross, we'll talk about the loaded miles, and we'll talk about the fuel consumption. And then I'll give you guys my top 5 biggest mistakes that I made as an owner operator out here in California. Really, I mean, even when I was over the road. So we'll go ahead and switch over and then we'll go from there. All right, real quick, let's run through this. So we got $7,695 gross. That's on 1,908 loaded miles. We use $1,592 worth of fuel, and that was about $4 a mile. So fantastic week. 10% skill, 90% luck. Everything just happened to line up. We're able to go to our preferred fuel spot most of the week because the loads all went to the same places for the most part. So I don't anticipate every week being, in the 7,000s. Most weeks will probably be 6,300, 6,000. That's really what the average probably is. But again, anytime you can have a good week, I'll take it. But let's go ahead and jump over to the top 5 mistakes because I don't want to make this video too long. The first one is going to be time that you decide to buy a truck. What I mean by that is like, is it a good market? Is it a bad market? Is it in Q1 when things are super slow? Is it in Q4 or Q3 or the summertime when things are ramping up a little bit? That really is going to play a part in the price that you pay. To give you an example, I bought this truck in 2021, October. That's coming off of one of the most historically great trucking markets of 2020. So everything had went up. Equipment was up across the board. You couldn't, buy a new truck. There were back orders on it. So equipment was very hard to come by because there was so much money in the industry. So if I would have bought it sooner, or if I just waited for the market to crash a little bit more, I would have saved a ton of money because $65,000 for this truck is extremely high. It was 2015 with 550,000 miles on it. The trailer was a 2012, which is it was in good shape, but $45,000 for it, that's way too much. First time business owner, barely getting your CDL, so the interest rates are like 14%. That's way too high, man. I really got robbed, and I'm surprised that I made it this far, and the equipment's, a couple months here from being paid off, but that could really make or break you, the price of this equipment. It may sound counterproductive, but in my opinion, you want to buy when the market is terrible, or at least, not the greatest, because you're going to get a great deal on a truck. You're going to have a ton of leverage. Nobody's buying trucks. You go in there, you put your feet on this desk, and you tell them the price that you want, man. So, I mean, just to give you an example there, just go online. If you don't believe me, take a look at some of the truck prices right now in a bad market. I'm seeing 2018s, 2019s for like 40 grand, $38,000. I'm seeing 2017s for like 36. So the prices have fell. I'm seeing dry vans, 2014s, 2015s, 2016s for like $12,000. If you're gonna get a 2012, what I have right now, you could probably walk in there with 8 grand and walk out with a trailer. So it's going to be extremely important. Make sure you do your research on the price. And if you're in a good market, if you're in a bad market, always consider the best time to buy. So the second one is third-party warranty. So a lot of people may have had a great experience with warranties. I did not. It's real simple, right? You give this company $10,000 for a warranty. They only make money if you do not get $10,000 or more worth of work to your truck. So common sense would tell you that they're going to try everything in their ability to not have to pay for your truck, right? The problem with that, man, is what was happening is we're having a ton of breakdowns, and we needed to get stuff done to our truck, and they would take so long to get approvals. It's not as simple as you go in there, I'm on warranty, get to work. Every single part they had to approve, and it would be 4 days for that, 5 days for that. You look up, your truck's been in the shop for 3 weeks. So you think you're saving money, but if your truck is down for 3 weeks and it's your only truck and you're not running, you're really losing more money than what you're saving. And again, some people may disagree. I had a terrible experience with a third-party warranty, so next time around, I'll just keep the money in my pocket, instead of going out and getting that warranty. Next is going to be startup costs. I had worked for about 2 years, about 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week, doing a bunch of random jobs, and saved up about $60,000 when I got the business started. I thought that was clearly enough, but when you take a look at what I spent for my truck and my trailer, they had down payments. My registration, that was a down payment. My insurance, that was a down payment. So I just didn't end up having enough startup money. So once a couple of breakdowns happened, I looked up and I was dipping into credit cards, which is never good, man. I would say, and this is just me, I would say when it's all said and done, I would want to have at least $25,000 to $30,000 still saved after you've paid for everything and the truck and trailer are up and running. That's just me. I would want to have at least 25 to 30 bands kind of sitting and ready, because you never know. That's enough to pay for the worst possible scenario, which is an engine breakdown. So if you can pay for that, you can pretty much pay for almost anything else, unless you're out there hitting people's stuff, in which case, I don't know what to tell you. Next one is going to be, okay, this is very specific to myself, but when I got started, I did not drive my truck. And everyone told me to drive my truck. DC told me to drive my truck. Victor told me to drive my truck. I had my CDL. I never had an actual CDL job. I wanted to get into the industry. I wanted to put a guy in my truck. I wanted to continue to work my day job, my office job, do whatever I was doing, and just collect checks. He ran, I worked, collect checks. It was a disaster. And I know most of you probably have your CDL, so that's not going to be your situation. Obviously, you would drive the truck, but I was not doing that. For the first year, I did not get in my truck. I had never actually driven a truck outside of the trucking school. So, and I was just putting it off. I was putting it off until finally I was so in debt, I was forced to get into the truck and learn really on the fly myself. So if that is something that you're thinking, I'm going to get a truck and just put a guy in it and I won't actually drive it, I wouldn't do it. You can do what you want to do. I didn't listen, and I regret not listening. And then the last one, this is the fifth mistake that I made, man, and this is a little bit more personal. I would say, when things were really bad, I just mentioned that I had to get into the truck to kind of save the business. I stayed out for virtually like 4 months. I came back maybe 2 or 3 times in 4 months. I stayed out on the road. I did not come back home. So what comes with that is you're going to have a lot of problems. Not a lot of problems. You're going to have more problems with the relationships with your family, relationships with your spouse. And I was raised by my great grandma, fabulous, love her to death, funny. I miss her a ton. And at this time, she was me not really knowing. I mean, I was in denial, but she was in her last days. You know what I'm saying? And for most of that, I was on the road, and I did not get to see her. And I think about it all the time. I could have came back more. I could have seen her more before she passed. So that's one of those things, man, where like you can't get that time back. So if you can drive locally or regionally, do it. But if you are doing over the road, business is important. Making the most money you can is important, but make it back to your family because you never know when that will be the last time that you see them, man. So I've heard of guys staying out on the road for 2 months, 3 months. You know, it's kind of a brag. You know, I thought it was cool when I was doing it. I don't need to go home. You know, but looking back on it, it causes turmoil in your relationships with your family and your friends. And like I said, you know, I didn't get to see my grandma, you know, as much as I could have before she passed. So that's just my 2 cents on it. You know, guys are gonna do what they got to do. Hard to tell a guy who, you know, has got bills that you shouldn't stay out that long, but I don't know. That's just my perspective. That's gonna be it for the video, man. I appreciate you guys if you had stayed this long to listen to all of my mistakes that I've made. Hopefully, you guys can learn from some of them, and you guys don't make them in your experience as owner operators. I'm getting ready to go get me a little workout in here at Planet Fitness. So you guys be easy, keep the wheels moving. God bless you, and I'll see you guys next week.